You know, in your work, you use a kind of if-then statement every single day. Well, today, we're going to sharpen that tool. This isn't just a grammar lesson, nope. It's about taking the logic you already use in code and reports and making it incredibly clear and professional.
Look, in the world of technology, precision is everything, right? Whether you're writing a postmortem, planning a project, or just trying to figure out a system failure, mastering the logic we're going to cover today, well, it's absolutely essential for communicating effectively. So just take a second to think about this. At your job, how do you actually talk about risks or brainstorm different solutions? How do you analyze what could have happened differently after an incident? The language patterns for all of that, that's exactly what we're about to break down.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with what I'm calling your logic toolkit. Then we'll get into how to talk about real possibilities. From there, we'll jump into imagining different scenarios and analyzing things that already happened. We'll wrap things up by looking at how to express wishes and needs, and then, tie it all together. It's kind of like a journey from what's real to what's imagined, and then back to analysis.
Okay, first up, your professional logic toolkit. At its heart, a conditional sentence is actually pretty simple. It's got two parts: an if clause, that's the condition, and a result clause, which is just the outcome. If this happens, then that happens. That's really it. And here's the cool part. You're already doing this constantly. Think about it. Troubleshooting, risk analysis, project planning, those deep system design talks, and for sure, in every incident review. This is all just about helping you say what you mean with way more precision. All right, let's dig into section 2, describing real possibilities. This first type is all about the real world. We're talking facts, predictable results, and things that could actually happen. This is that fundamental if-then logic of what's real and what's likely.
So, the most common way to build this is with if plus the simple present tense, followed by will plus the basic verb. Now, this is the key thing I want you to remember. Even though we're talking about the future, you use the simple present in the if part. Whatever you do, don't put will in the if clause.
Here's a perfect, everyday tech example. If the deployment succeeds, we will notify the client. See that? The condition, succeeds, is in the simple present. The result, will notify, uses will. It's super clear, direct, and it just removes any confusion from your project plan. Everyone knows exactly what to expect.
Let's move on to section 3, imagining different scenarios. So now we're going to shift gears from what's real to what's imagined. This is the language you need for hypotheticals, for brainstorming, and for those really important what-if conversations during system design.
Let's just look at this side by side. On the left, we've got the real plan. If the server crashes, we will activate the backup. That's our actual procedure. But look at the right, the hypothetical. If the server crashed, we would activate the backup. Do you see that little shift in the verbs, from crashes to crashed and willed to would? That tiny change signals we've left reality and are now in a what-if discussion. It's the difference between a real plan and a brainstorming session.
And here's a little pro tip for you, something that makes your English sound really polished. If I were the system architect, I would redesign the workflow. Using were for everybody, not just I, but he, she, the system, is a hallmark of really precise formal communication when you're talking about something that's not real.
Okay, on to section 4, analyzing past events. This is the language of reflection. It's for postmortems, for figuring out what went wrong, or maybe even what went right. It's all about looking backward to understand how things could have been different, which is, absolutely critical for preventing future problems.
The structure you need for looking at the past is this: if plus the past perfect, which just means had plus the verb, followed by would have plus the verb. We use this to imagine a completely different outcome in the past. It's perfect for analyzing a failure without any confusion.
Now check this out. This is a really powerful tool called a mixed time conditional. Look at this timeline. Last week, an incident happened. The migration failed. That's in the past. The result? Right now, the system is unstable. The connection between the two is this sentence. If we had completed the migration last week, the system would be stable now. See? A past unreal condition creating a present unreal result. This is how you clearly link past mistakes to current problems.
All right, moving on to section 5, expressing wishes and needs. Here we're going to look at the last few tools in our kit. These help us talk about what we want to be different and use some more formal, nuanced structures, like when you're writing up a spec doc or a feature request.
So let's talk about a more formal structure called inversion. It sounds complicated, but it's actually super simple. You start with a normal sentence. If we had known about the risk, Now just get rid of the if and flip the subject and the verb. And what do you get? A very formal, very professional sentence. Had we known about the risk. Simple as that.
The word wish is another fantastic tool for talking about what you need, and there's a clear pattern. For something happening right now, you use the past tense. I wish the interface were simpler. For something in the past, you use the past perfect. We wish we had tested the plan. And to ask for a change in the future, especially from someone else, you use would. I wish the vendor would respond faster.
You know, sometimes the if part isn't even there, it's just implied. Take this sentence. Without a rollback plan, the deployment would have been risky. What does that imply? It means if we had not had a rollback plan. Words like without or otherwise are clues that there's a hidden condition. It's a really short, clean way to do risk analysis.
Okay, let's pull everything together in our final section, the grammar focus summary. I want you to think of this as your one-page toolkit for everything we just went over. This table right here is your cheat sheet. Let's just walk through it one more time. For a true future situation, a real plan, use simple present in the if clause and will in the result. For an unreal present, a hypothetical, you shift back to simple past and would. And finally, for an unreal past, when you're analyzing what could have been, use past perfect and would have. Honestly, if you can master these three patterns, you have the foundation.
So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Mastering these structures is not about being a grammar nerd. It's about giving you the power to explain really complex technical logic with total precision and professionalism in your reports, your meetings, and your analysis. It's about making sure your entire team understands the difference between a plan, a possibility, and a postmortem.
And that really brings us to the final thought. When you look back at all of these, the real, the imagined, the past regrets, which of these logic patterns do you think will be the most useful for you? Like in your very next project meeting or that incident report you have to write? Because that's where all this theory becomes real.